Hey Jeff, how are you? Hi Knowledge, good to see you. Welcome Anime, welcome Katie Rose, welcome everyone. It's Tuesday afternoon in the south of England and in London, Tuesday morning on the East Coast and in Central Time. Hey Nina Pint, hey Nina, how are you? Great to see you. And it's, I guess, something like 8:30, yes, maybe. I think it's 8:30 on the West Coast. Hi Omi, how are you? We've got a special guest today. Hey Cyber, how are you? Nice to see you. We're going to bring on our guest, if I can find the guest. Let me see. Yesterday, of course, we couldn't find the guest. And yesterday, we had that issue with the echo, didn't we? London calling. Hey Long Beach. Hi Annie P. Hi to Mabuki in Taiwan. We've got London, we've got East Sussex. Let's see where our guest today is. Let's see now, bringing them on. Excited about today's guest. Hey, Jeremy.
Hi, greetings from Texas.
Greetings from Texas. And it sounds like I don't have that horrible echo I had yesterday.
No, it sounds good today.
Good. So it's very nice to meet you. We haven't met before, actually. So tell me about yourself. I'm Texas. Tell me a bit about your background.
Born and raised in Texas. I lived in a small town called Three Rivers for much of my life, but I've just moved to San Antonio about a month and a half ago. And so it's quite different to live in a big city from living in a small town of under 2,000 people is where I lived most of my life. And now I'm living in the 7th largest city in America. So it's a little different to get used to having, major resources available to me rather than having to go 30 miles just to go grocery shopping,
Yeah, Mela says that's a big difference. 2,000
Yeah.
people. So you're telling me that San Antonio is the 7th largest city in America?
By population, yes, sir.
So even bigger than Houston or Austin or Dallas?
So Houston and Dallas, I believe, are both a bit larger, actually. If I have my facts correct, I hope I'm right. If I'm not right, then I'm not going to do very well today, I don't think.
And what brings you to San Antonio? Is it a job or work or something else?
Well, I got married, and my wife's work, she works for Toyota in San Antonio. And so her job is a little bit better than my job. I'm a freelance journalist type, position, so I can kind of work wherever. And her job is pretty important to her, and she makes decent money. So I decided I would make the move. We were engaged for 4 years. So I proposed to her right before COVID, and it took us a while to get our act together, to put it in a G-rated terms. But we got married in October, and it's been good. It's been an adjustment to the single life to married life, but it's been fun. It's been fun, and finally living together is really, it has its challenges, but it's been really great.
Wow. Well, lots of people here. Knowledge, Nina, Dot, Snot, you talking to me, Bartholomew, Mela, Mrs. 12. Everyone's saying congratulations to you on that news. Let's start our show, and
Sure.
I'll ask you more questions about yourself as we continue, because I've got a couple of interesting things to ask you. Let me make a note. But, oh yeah, before we start, actually, Jeremy, you bring a nice segue from yesterday's show, which, if you saw it, was all about dogs. We had a dog expert called Kim Lengling on, and you just told me that you were nearly delayed 15 minutes ago because you lost your dog. Tell us about your dog and how come you nearly lost it.
So our dog is a Chihuahua, and she's usually okay. So I'm supposed to keep her on a leash, but it was one of those situations where she really had to use the restroom, and I couldn't locate the leash right away. And I was like, look, I'm not going to risk an accident here. She's really good, and she never runs off from me. In 2 months, she's never run off. So I was like, okay, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. She just has to go pee. She just had to go pee, but she decided today she was going to run off right when I didn't have much time for any kind of running off or any other activities. So I chased her around the apartment complex around 3 times before she finally came in, because she would come right to the door here and then run off again. And I was like, what is she not wanting to come inside for? Because we're not mean to her. She's a great dog. She never causes any trouble. She's, and yet today she just wanted to run off. And I'm like, look, I have cerebral palsy, and I can walk, but I'm not exactly the fastest. So, a dog running off on me, and I have trouble putting the leash on because of my hands. So that's why I didn't otherwise, if I could have perfect, coordination, I would just put it on. There'd be no issue. But because of that, I don't always just, latch it onto her. That's one thing I forgot to mention is my disability. I don't just bring it up, but it was relevant in this conversation. So that's because most people are probably like, well, why didn't you put the leash on her? Are you a bad dog owner? No, just challenged.
And what's the name of this mischievous dog that nearly delayed our show?
Guppy.
Guppy? That sounds like a fish.
Well, because she has an underbite, and so they didn't want to call her piranha, so she's Guppy.
Knowledge echoes what I'm thinking. Knowledge says, thanks for telling us all the info that you're telling us. And everybody says, Knowledge says, what a cute name. Dot says, oh, Guppy. I'm going to ask you about your journalism. I'm going to ask you about what brings you to more in a few minutes. Let's begin our show. Sure. You know how it works. You're going to answer 10 questions. The quicker you answer them, the more points you get. You're going to be playing against the audience. I always say to everybody, look, if you come in the top 30, then that's a badge of honor. 20 is good. 10 is like super amazing. I think since I've started this month, I've had 2 people in the top 10. I've had Danielle, who actually came first, and Cyber Goddess, who's with us today, was with our host Joe last week, came 6th. So let's see how we go, Jeremy. Nina agrees.
I just want to do better than AI Albert Einstein. If I just beat AI Albert Einstein, who I think was 36th, then I'll feel good.
Albert Einstein was 36. AI David Bowie was 21. Tomorrow I've got AI Elon Musk. I've asked his representatives if he wants to join us, the man himself. But, he has got 177 million followers on Twitter. So whether he'll see my message or not remains to be seen. Okay, here we go. First question is about the Beatles. You like the Beatles?
I love the Beatles.
All right, good. This should be good for you. Remember, faster you get it right, the more points you get. Here we go, everybody. So, question 1. Which Beatle is in a white suit on the cover of Abbey Road? Is it John, is it Paul, or is it George? And I told you I was going to tell you I'm going to tell you my Paul McCartney story in a second. What do you think it is, Jeremy?
It's John, and I wish I'd have gotten 10,000 there. I should have. I just was a little bit slow on the uptake.
Yeah, John is the first. He's the first one across the road. You're absolutely right. It is John. Yes, about 5 years ago, just before the pandemic, I live about an hour outside of London. I'll make this quick. I live in a small village which has about 2,000 people, I'm describing, but it has a train station. And I was doing a job. I had to go into London like every day in the commuter time. And I, like a lot of people, I had my spot to stand on the train station. That's important. One day, maybe this is like 2016, 2015, I walk up to my spot to get the commuter train. It's like 8 a.m. There's a man on my spot. Immediately, I'm like, who's this guy standing in my spot? What's he doing? And as I walk towards him, I'm looking at him. I'm like, it can't be. It really looks like him, but it can't be. As I get closer and closer, I realize that it is 100% the man himself, Paul McCartney. And this lasted for a period. He started getting our train in and sometimes our train back at night from London for about 6 months to a year. And sometimes he would have his wife, Nancy Chevelle, his third wife, with him. And he would just get the train because he's got an office in London. He actually does live about 5 miles away from where I'm sitting now. He lives in the countryside. He's got his studio. And I guess he could go into London anyway. He could have a private driver. He could have a helicopter. But he decided for a period of time to get the train. And I tell you, man, people were freaking out on the train when Paul McCartney got on the train. People could not believe it. And he'd be going to the toilet. You know, he'd have to walk through the train. And people were shocked. But he was just like the nicest guy. And he was just so relaxed and so pleasant. And if you love the Beatles, you'll appreciate this, that when I went up that first day and I realized it was him, I didn't want to get involved in a conversation because I don't do that with celebrities. But I said, good morning. And he said, good morning. So I thought that was very nice. I had a good morning episode with him. And then another day, I was sitting on the train and it was almost about to pull out. And he was obviously late, but he was running along and he had this really old bag that he was carrying. I always remember it was like my dad's bag, this old man's bag. And it just made me think of woke up, got out of bed, made the bus in seconds flat. You know, he made the train in seconds flat.
Seconds flat.
So yeah. McCartney used to get on this. And I also noticed the last thing about McCartney, people seem to like this story. Bartholomew says I did say good morning, Snot. The last thing about McCartney is when he got off the train at London, so you're going into a big train station, right, where there's lots of people. He doesn't have a bodyguard. He's on his own. He walks out, and I followed him at distance a couple of days just to see what he was doing. He walked out, and then he would have a car to pick him up outside. But even that small walk from the train to go to his car, I reckon he'd have between 5 and 10 people coming up to him. Oh, I can't believe it's you. Oh, you mean so much to me. Oh, your music is amazing. All this kind of stuff, okay? And what I realized that if you're at that level, I mean, he must be, you know, top 10 most famous person in the world, I would say, definitely alive now. What is his policy? His policy is to be polite, but he never stops walking. It's to keep walking, because if you keep walking, you'll get there. He just doesn't stop. But there you go. There's my Paul McCartney story. Have you ever met a Beatle, Jeremy?
I have not met a Beatle, but I've met a fake Beatle. I've met a fake Beatle. There's one of those shows that travels and people perform the music of the Beatles. I've met one of them before, but I've never met an actual Beatle, unfortunately.
Well, there you go.
I wish I had.
I hope you like my McCartney train story. It's so surreal that when I think about it sometimes.
Well, now I've met someone that's met a Beatle, so, you know, 6 degrees of separation.
Exactly. Question 2 is about a new film. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's on Amazon Prime. And who plays the title role in this film is what we're talking about. Who plays the title role in Ricky Stenicki? New comedy, Amazon Prime. Is it Zac Efron, William H. Macy, or John? Is it John Cena? How do you say his name?
Cena. John Cena. And you know what? I haven't seen it, but my grandma was telling me about this movie. She saw a preview for it. And so if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know this, but it's John Cena.
Oh, good. Knowledge is power agrees that it's John Cena as well. That's how you pronounce it. Did you get that one right?
I did.
Yeah, good. We watched 20 minutes of it, and my wife decided it wasn't for her. I secretly will probably watch the end of it. Although it's interesting watching this movie because it's directed by one of the Farrelly brothers. And of course, they made those big 90s movies. Remember, like Dumb and Dumber, and I think they made Something About Mary. And they had that like slightly vulgar sense of humor, which seemed to like fit the time in the 90s. Bringing it into 2024, the world has changed so much. It's almost like a curious thing watching Ricky Stenicki in the year 2024, because it feels like a movie that should have been made in 1998. Having said that, I did laugh a couple of times.
I'll probably watch it now that you said that. I didn't know that about the movie, and now I'm more interested in it now than I was 10 minutes ago.
Don't get your hopes up too much. I'm not saying it's great. I have only watched 15, 20 minutes. Are you a sports fan, Jeremy?
I am. I love sports.
Okay, our next one is about sport. This is usually a big divider for the watching audience. It's right up to date. It's about golf, and it's about a tournament that just happened this weekend. Who retained the Players Golf Championship this weekend? Was it Ricky Fowler? Was it Minwoo Lee? Or was it Scotty Scheffler?
This is a guess because I'm not up on my golf. I like golf. I'm not up on my golf.
What did you guess?
I guess Scotty Scheffler.
Well done. Good name recognition. He's the world #1. He retained this tournament. It's regarded as the 5th major, and it's like a big deal. I don't think anyone has ever retained it, or maybe Jack Nicklaus retained it in like the 60s, but it's very rare for him to do that. So yes, well done. Very good. Okay, so tell me about your journalism, Jeremy. What kind of journalism do you work in?
So sports journalism, actually, funny enough. But on the high school level, I've done mostly for the small town that I worked in. I'm kind of in between right now, trying to figure out if I want to do local or something more. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, bigger
online.
or
something for a bigger publication or something more local.
And with the high school stuff,
I guess small town newspaper.
With high school stuff, you'd be covering everything, right? Junior baseball, junior football, junior gym, athletics, all that kind of stuff, yeah?
Right, yes, sir. And it was interesting because I learned more about sports that I never had much of a taste for.
Yes.
Like golf and kind of like powerlifting and things that I never even realized were big, but they're big at my school, which again was 50 kids to a graduating class. So, I mean, but sports are huge at the school. And so, I mean, you have like the golf team getting recognition, the powerlifting team, and I want to make sure that every kid gets their name in the paper because it was such a small school, you could do that. And these bigger schools, not everyone gets their name in the paper, and that's understood. But in the small school, every parent wants their kid to,
and it's still something that everyone remembers. I think it's better than being on social media. It has a little bit more kudos to it. Hey, Jeremy, do me a favor, move your camera like 3 inches. Yes, so we could. That's better. Yeah, that's perfect. So we can see you better. No, good. Okay. Next question is kind of about school, but not about sport. It's about spelling. Okay.
Right.
It's about
that's
spelling.
one of my
Which of these words is spelled correctly is the next question. Which of these words is correctly spelled? Vacuum, vacuum, or vacuum?
Ooh, I was slow on that one, but it's vacuum.
Spelt?
VACUUM.
It surely is. Yeah. So did you study journalism or media somewhere?
So I went to college at A&M Corpus Christi, and the interesting thing about that is they didn't have an actual journalism major, but they had communication. And within the communication major, they had several classes of journalism. So I learned, and they had the student newspaper. So I had experience doing it before I went off into the real world. And, and in my small town, I knew people that worked with the paper. So I was able to get a job. And I mean, I worked there for 7 years. So, I mean, it was a good learning experience for me. And because it's such a small publication, I was the only sports writer. So it was nice to be kind of the guy, because everyone knew, send it to Jeremy and he's going to, do something with it. And it felt good knowing that I was the man, over there. Now, if I go somewhere here in San Antonio, I'll be one of many, which is good. In a way, that's good too, because then the pressure's off. But it's just been, I guess I'm self-conscious about it too, because I worked in a small newspaper, and then going into a bigger place, it's kind of like, well, what did you do? Everybody that works there has done something of that caliber or bigger. But, it's just kind of been, it was a good training exercise. Let's put it that way.
Good. Well, people are saying, Annie is saying, and Dot, how much they like getting to know fellow morons. Annie says that she won the National Adult Spelling Bee on Sunday, which is quite an achievement. If that's true, that's incredible, Annie. You'll
I
have to
didn't
come
know
on
that
as
they
a
had
guest.
one.
No, you'll have to come on as a guest for a spelling special, Annie, and we'll do that. Okay, come join us next year. Do post a link in Discord. Yes, we would like to see that, Annie. Now, as you know, Jeremy, we start off with some relatively easy ones, and we get a little bit tougher as we go along. Next one's about music as well, and it's kind of about classic rock, but also about music that's happening now. So let's see what we make about this one. Which classic rock singer now fronts a band called Saving Grace? Is it Robert Plant? Is it Roger Daltrey? Or is it Alice Cooper? What's your thinking?
I guessed Alice Cooper.
Cooper does front a band, but he's fronting a band called something like the Hollywood Vampires or something with Johnny Depp and somebody else. It's actually Led Zeppelin frontman Robert Plant who's fronting Saving Grace. I happened to notice that the other day. So let's have a little look at the leaderboards after 5. Let's see where we are. So I missed my dog. Very dog related this week at number 1. SJP, a familiar player in 2nd. Snot in 3rd. Jeremy, you're in 5th. It's incredible. How exciting. This is good stuff.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
And I know the number 1 player, so I feel happy with that result.
They're getting tougher now. They're getting tough for everybody. So have a good look. Here's number 6, kind of like science and the body question. Which human organs are located in the thoracic cavity? Is it the lung? Is it the kidneys? Or is it the pancreas?
Oh, gosh.
I have heard of the thoracic department in a hospital and a thoracic doctor. I don't know if I'd get this, but I might have a guess. What did you guess?
I guessed kidneys.
Oh, it's caught you out. It's lungs.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Most people got that. Okay. On to question.
Podium.
I reckon you still be in top 10. Let's see. Question 7. Relatively straightforward. Just have a little look at this one. You should get it. Which North Italian city is particularly known for the quality of its cured ham? Genoa ham, Milan ham, or Parma ham?
Well, I was slow, but I put Genoa ham.
Oh, you're on a streak, but it's not the kind of streak you want to be. It's Parma ham.
Oh, yeah, I'm blowing.
I told you the second half was a little bit tougher, but question 8 is about a famous TV show. So I think you're going to be okay with question 8. Let's have a go to break this streak of 2 wrong. Question 8. Which TV show featured a group of plane crash survivors marooned on an island? Lost, 24, or House? Were you a fan of Lost?
I was, actually. I kind of dipped in and out during the middle seasons, but I caught the first couple in that last season. I had to know how it ended. And then it had maybe the worst ending of all time, or the most predictable.
Controversial ending. So, Jeremy, before we get to the last 2, let me tell me about your journey to come here today with us and to come to the More platform. What was your journey to come here?
So I'm a huge trivia nerd. Any trivia game that's out there on the internet, I've either tried it or didn't know about it, or I would have tried it. I from HQ trivia onward to now. One day I got like an email or something or a tweet, and it said, "Hey, come join More." And I was like, "All right, this sounds great." I forgot who even tweeted at me, but they were like, "Hey, come join More." And I said, "Okay," because if it's a trivia platform, I'm in for it. I would play trivia all day if the schedule allowed and if there was enough games. I love it because I love knowing things, and clearly I love not knowing things because I didn't know like 3 questions there. But I just love learning, and I love being able to, I don't want to say compete against other people because that sounds bad, but I like being able to see where I'm at amongst others, because there's always someone that's going to be better, but that just inspires me to try to get better, because one day I'd love to be on a game show or something just to, obviously it might never happen. So it's not going to supplement my income any if I get on one, but it might, and might surprise myself. you know.
Repstein says, nice attitude, Jeremy. Knowledge is power says they like to meet new people and learn at the same time. Have you applied for any game shows?
I have actually applied on Game Show Network. They have kind of a blanket application for all their shows.
Yeah.
And I've put my name in, but I've never gotten a call. And so I'm still going to put my name out there. They get so many applications. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and the tough part is you have to go to Los Angeles. And it might be tough for me to scrap the money together to get to Los Angeles. But if I got the call, I would go.
I think they pay for you. I've worked on that side of things. I used to work. I ran HQ Trivia here in the UK, but prior to that, I worked at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in the UK. They would pay, and I've been on TV shows when I was younger. Before I did that, they always paid for my transportation. You know, they paid for my travel and they paid for my hotel. So I think if you were to go to Los Angeles, if they gave you a spot, you'd be okay. They'd pay for that. Okay, good. 9 and 10 coming up. Yeah. They would pay for you. Yeah, 9 and 10. Okay, 9 and 10 is about Russian, more specifically Soviet politics back in the day. Ooh. So, what was the name of the policy-forming executive body of the Soviet Union? Should be a big U. Knesset, Stannary, or Politburo? Do you know what that was? Knesset is actually Israel. Stannary was an old Cornish parliament. The correct answer was the Politburo. Most people got that. You haven't had the best of second halves. You might be wanting a redo, like Dot had a redo. So let's see how we go. The last one is about the 1994 film The Lion King and the songwriters within that.
That's my favorite movie of all time, and I didn't even tell you that.
Well, oh, that's funny. That's a good coincidence. You didn't tell me that. So it's about the writers. So who wrote 5 songs for the 1994 film The Lion King with Tim Rice? Was it Sting, Elton John, or Rod Stewart? If it's your favorite film, I hope you're going to get that one.
Elton John, 9,978 points. I wanted 10,000, but 22 points off is fine.
Have you had 10,000 before?
Like twice. It's hard to get that 10,000. It's hard to click. Well, everyone got that right, so I feel less good about it. But the point is that I got a question about my favorite movie without even telling you. So
I know
that's the point of that question, was that I didn't even have to tell you what my favorite movie was to get.
There's some sort of psychic phenomenon going on there, I think. That must have been the case. Okay, so listen, before I do the scores, I've got AI Elon Musk tomorrow. On Thursday, I've got a question. There's a program on the Game Show Network called The Chase, which is quite a big show over here. You have it in the States. It's called The Chase. It's a quiz show. I've got one of the question writers from that, and he's going to talk to us about trivia and writing questions and how he does it. So that's what's coming up for the rest of this week. Let's have a look at these leaderboards. Drum roll, please. Here we go. In first place, Andy just took it, 86,000. SJP in second. I Miss My Dog in third. Jeremy was in the top 10, and he has just skipped out to 14th. But hey, Jeremy, let's look on the bright side. A, top 20, top 15 is a badge of honor. B, you beat AI Albert Einstein quite easily.
I did. So that's not bad. I'm going to be kicking myself for that second half, but 14 isn't bad. I'll take it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We've loved having you on. Say hi to Guppy. Say hi to your wife. We look forward to seeing you soon on more. Hopefully see you tomorrow or Thursday with everybody else. Have you had a good time?
I've had a great time, Paul. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the work you do putting these on.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Okay, thanks, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow. Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.